The parking lot was a sea of shadows, the car's windshield catching faint glimmers from a flickering street lamp. I was there to help check a sputtering engine, a favor for my husband's friend Vince, a mechanic whose hands wrestled bolts with raw, unsteady force. The hum of the engine vibrated through the seats, and when Vince leaned in from the back, his presence heavy trembling pressed against me from behind. He was shaking, and I let the night drive us. I was 33, married to Ethan, a man whose love was steady but dim, like a dashboard light on its last flicker. Vince was different, broad, rough-edged, with hands that gripped tools with hunger and eyes that sparked with want. His work shirt, stained with oil, clung to his muscled chest sleeves rolled up to reveal inked forearms. My sweater, a fitted burgundy knit, and my jeans tight against my curves caught the street lamp's glow, and his gaze lingered slow, deliberate, waking, a hunger I'd buried deep. My wedding ring glinted a faint protest, but it couldn't stall the fire rising in my chest. The city was a distant hum beyond the lot's empty expanse, its pulse drowned by the low growl of the engine and the creak of the car's frame. Vince crouched in the back seat, his movements sharp, almost restless, but his eyes were wild, untamed. I sat in the driver's seat, my jeans hugging my thighs, revealing a hint of skin as I shifted, and his gaze followed, dark, possessive, stirring something wild. I should have left when he popped the hood, when Ethan's voice was still clear in my mind. But I stayed, and the night grew thicker, heavier. He offered me a thermos of coffee, the steam rising in the cool air, sharp and bitter. "Check the gauge," he said, his voice low, gritty, like the grind of gears. I took the thermos, our fingers brushing a spark that shot through me, settling low, aching, unbearable. The coffee was hot, but it was nothing compared to the fire in my veins, the want that grew with every glance. My sweater clung to my skin, teasing my curves, and his eyes caught it, darkening with a desire that made my knees weak. The street lamp flickered, casting shadows that danced across his face, rugged and magnetic. My heart pounded a rhythm that matched the pulse of desire running through me. Vince's gaze was a weight pressing against me, and I felt it, every inch of me alive, craving, screaming for something I shouldn't. "Rev it up," he said, leaning closer from behind, his voice a soft command, like he was tuning more than the engine. I could have opened the door, walked away, but my body leaned back, my skin begging for his touch, his heat. The car was a world apart, the city forgotten. His hand hovered near my shoulder, so close I could feel its warmth, but he held back, waiting. "Feel the rumble," he said, his eyes locking on mine in the rear-view mirror, urging me to move, to surrender. The guilt was there, Ethan's face flashing in my mind, his smile as we drove to the coast. But the want was ablaze, drowning out everything else. I pressed the pedal, my breath shallow, my body trembling with the weight of what I was doing. The night was a spark, and I was already ignited. The car felt smaller now, the shadows tightening, as the street lamp's glow bathed us in a faint, cold light. Vince's shirt was damp with sweat clinging to his chest, outlining the broad muscles that flexed as he adjusted a wrench in the back seat. My jeans were a traitor, hugging my curves, my sweater warm and soft, my skin prickling under his gaze. The coffee sat heavy in my stomach, but it was his presence that made me dizzy, drunk on the promise of his touch. The faint hum of the city was gone, replaced by the engine's low purr, a sound that vibrated through me like a pulse. "You've got a steady hand," he said, his voice rough, like he was testing more than my grip. But he didn't move, his body a magnet pulling me closer. I thought of Ethan, his gentle hands, his quiet love, the life we'd built, a routine of road trips, predictable as a worn tire. But Vince's presence was a live wire, raw, untamed, filling the empty spaces Ethan never could. My fingers twitched, aching to touch him, to feel the heat of his skin, the rhythm of his desire. The guilt was a sharp jolt, stinging, but it only made the ache deeper, more desperate. The street lamp pulsed, casting shadows that seemed to sway with my heart. My sweater shifted, teasing my collarbone, my breasts, and I felt exposed, alive, wanted in a way I hadn't been in years. Vince leaned closer from the back seat, his body so near I could smell the oil on his skin, mixed with the scent of metal and want. His fingers brushed my shoulder as he handed me a rag, a fleeting touch that sent a shiver through me, my body leaning back without permission. "Wipe it down," he said, his voice a low rumble, urging me to clean more than the dashboard. My hands moved over the console, the rag smooth and greasy, a wordless plea my body couldn't hide. The guilt was a scream, Ethan's voice echoing his laugh as we parked by the beach. But it was no match for the fire in my veins, the need that consumed me. I thought of Ethan, his face soft in sleep, but Vince's touch was real, burning, pulling me under. My fingers trembled, brushing his arm, an instinct I couldn't control, the knit of my sweater, whispering against my skin, betraying my desire. His eyes darkened, locking on mine in the mirror, a silent command to surrender. The car was a cocoon now, shutting out the world. His hand slid to my neck, light but deliberate, and I gasped, the sound swallowed by the engine's hum. The guilt was there, Ethan's trust a ghost in my mind, but Vince's hands were real, promising a pleasure I'd forgotten existed. I leaned back, my breasts, brushing the seat, the contact sending a jolt through me that settled low, aching, unbearable. The street lamp's glow danced across his face, making him look like a mechanic tuning my ruin. "Feel the spark," he whispered, his breath warm against my ear, sending a shiver through me that made my thighs clench. I couldn't hold back. My skin was on fire, my body trembling with need, my heart pounding like a piston. My hands found his wrist, feeling the heat through his sleeve, the rapid beat of his pulse. I was drowning in it, in him, in the reckless thrill of being wanted this way. The back seat was a trap, and I was already wired. The car was a crucible now, the street lamp's light forging something dangerous between us. Vince's hands were on me, steady, possessive, guiding my fingers along the rag as if he were tuning my soul. The glow was faint but searing, highlighting every curve of my jeans, my skin prickling under his gaze. His touch was deliberate, each movement a spark in a circuit I couldn't resist, and I followed willingly, recklessly. My body was alive, every nerve singing, my thighs trembling as they pressed against the seat, inviting him closer. His fingers slid higher, brushing the bare skin of my neck beneath my sweater, and I moaned, the sound soft, desperate, swallowed by the car's hush. My body arched toward him, craving the contact, the sin. The guilt was a jagged wire cutting through me, but it only made the desire sharper, more urgent. His lips grazed my temple, a slow burning trail that made my head spin, my hands gripping his shoulders, nails digging into his shirt. The shadows danced, mirroring the chaos inside me, every movement a confession. "Crank it higher," he murmured, his voice rough with need, his breath hot against my cheek, urging me to dive deeper into the moment. But I couldn't pull back, wouldn't pull back. The street lamp caught the sheen of sweat on his skin, making him look like a mechanic wiring my ruin. My hands slid down his chest, feeling the broad muscle beneath his shirt, the rapid beat of his heart matching mine. My jeans clung tighter, outlining every curve, and his eyes followed, dark and unyielding, drinking in every inch of me. His hand moved higher, tracing the curve of my ribcage through my sweater, his fingers brushing just beneath my breast, and I gasped, my body shuddering under his touch. The car was a haze, the world reduced to the space between us, to the heat of his hands, the rhythm of my breath. I thought of Ethan, his quiet love, his trust, his hand on mine as we drove home. But the thought was fleeting, swept away by the storm of desire. Every touch was a charge in a circuit of surrender, and I sparked it willingly, chasing the fire, the danger, the ecstasy. His lips brushed my jaw, his breath ragged, and I tilted my head back, offering more, offering everything. My body trembled, caught between guilt and need, but the need was a tidal wave crashing over me, drowning out everything else. His hand slid lower, guiding my hips closer, and I moaned loud now, the sound mingling with the engine's growl. I was his, and he knew it, his touch rewiring me in ways I'd never be clean of. Then it came, a sharp honk from a distant car, a night watchman or a stray vehicle breaking the spell, and with it reality. Ethan's face flashed in my mind, clear and accusing his trust, a weight I couldn't ignore. I pushed against Vince's chest, my hands shaking, my breath ragged. He leaned back, his eyes dark with hunger and something like regret, but it was too late. The line had been crossed, even if we hadn't gone all the way. I was marked, branded by his touch, and I'd never be the same. I stumbled out of the car, my legs unsteady, my sweater still clinging to me like a confession. The street lamp's glow was dim now, but it couldn't hide the heat still burning inside me. I grabbed my keys, my fingers fumbling, and walked toward my car, the cool night air hitting me like a slap. The drive home was a blur of city lights and guilt, my heart pounding with what I'd done, what I'd almost done. Ethan was asleep when I got home, his face soft in the lamplight, peaceful, trusting. I stood over him, watching his chest rise and fall, the guilt twisting like a knife in my gut. The days that followed were a fog of want and shame. I went through the motions, cooking dinner, kissing Ethan goodnight, but my mind was back in that car, back with Vince's hands, his eyes, his heat. I saw him again at a gas station, his gaze catching mine across the pumps. We didn't speak, but we didn't need to. The air between us was charged, a silent promise of what could have been, what still might be. I told myself I'd stay away, that I'd be good. But every night as Ethan slept beside me, I lay awake, my body burning with the memory of a touch that wasn't his, a spark that changed everything. The guilt was a living thing now, clawing at me, but so was the desire, a hum that wouldn't fade. Vince was just a mechanic, a man who'd checked an engine, but he'd ignited something in me I couldn't douse. I'd stopped short of the edge, but I'd gone far enough to know I'd never be whole. The car, the lot, his hands, they were branded into me, a mark I'd carry forever. If this story set your heart racing, smash that like button. If you think I'm a fool for staying in the car, hit dislike. I deserve it. Drop a comment. What would you do in my place? Subscribe for more stories that cut deep. Share this with someone who needs to feel the fire, and check out the next one. The truth is raw, messy, and worth it. Catch you soon.